Welcome to a special edition of All Horse Racing All the Time 2025 Rebel Stakes preview with racing analyst John DaSilva. Many of you know John, and he was the lead racing analyst and columnist for the New York Post for 20 years until they decided to cut back on their racing department. That didn't slow down John, went on to become the Parks line maker for a number of years, as well as a jockey, licensed jockey agent. And now John keeps rolling along. He is now a Parks official. But what makes John a little different, a lot different from the usual racing analysts you might see on TV, giving their opinions about a horse? John knows everybody really in horse racing intimately, many on a friendship level, be it the jockeys, the trainers, the owners, and of course the horses. You can name a horse from any time and he can give you a 1-hour story about the horse. And he's going to be taking us through these entries for the Rebel Stakes with us today. Horses in order, one by one, posts 1 through 14. There was a scratch, and he's going to give us his take on the horse, whether he likes the horse, whether he's going to use it in the exotics. He likes it to win. We're going to go right through it. Thanks for joining us, John. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How's everything over there?
Excellent, excellent. I'm really pumped up. Are you excited about this race as I am? I think this looks like the most enticing prep race to date. This field size, you got all these horses in there. That you got the Cassie horse, Sand, whatever, and that was one of the favorites. You got Bob Baffert in there. You got Asmussen back with another horse contender after that magnitude injury was heartbreaking. Now he comes back with a number 13 again in this race, and this one looks like it's live. You got other D. Wayne Lucas. So many. What do you think? What do you got to say about this race?
Tremendous race. I mean, you have so many horses trying to get points because every point is important because they keep on changing the rules for the points. So whatever you can get, try to get it now because you don't want to make it with one race and you hope to get it. You want to get as many points as possible. You want to prep these horses. Some of them are trying 2 turns for the first time. Some of them are coming back into greatest stakes competition. It's a tremendous betting race. I mean, favorite, I'm not sure I want to bet the favorite in here, but tremendous value. And with the added addition of the problems at Oakland Park, where they haven't been able to run the past few days or even train horses regularly the past few days, that just makes it more of a challenge for us trying to pick the winner.
Now they got to train it. They haven't been having training at Oakland. What can they do to train when it's this close to the race, which is tomorrow?
Well, basically what's been happening is a lot of these horses have a shed rowing where they may jog in the barn, and just walk around. It's not like a full gallop or anything like that because it's too narrow and too short, but just to stretch the legs out and do whatever. So you hope that they have a nice foundation from training prior to everything happening at this point. And the good trainers know how to do that. They know how to get them fit and then maintain the fitness. And that's what separates the big guys from the small guys who know what they're doing in these type of races.
I see. So this should be a very compelling race, to say the least. And John, again, you're going to hear stuff about these horses that you're not going to hear anywhere else. He knows the inside scoop. On top of that, he's been a winning player for years and a consultant to winning players, tournament players for years. He's the go-to guy. So let's get started on this. This is one in the 16th mile, correct?
Correct. Mile 16th at Oakland.
Okay, 1.25 million, grade 2, 50 points to the winner, qualifying points, 25 to second place. And one last thing before we get started, you're wondering how we're coming up with these horses. I'll be using the usual Brisnet PPs and the Thorograph sheet numbers. My two and again, as far as what I know about the horses and following them along the way. John, what do you use when handicapping and prepping for these races? What do you look at?
Because when you're handicapping, the mistake I think a lot of people make is they just look at the horse. And of course, it's very important. You have to have the horse or you can't win the race. But you also have to look at the trainer. You have to look at the conditions. You have to look at the way the race is going to set up. Because a lot of those things will make a difference, because I've seen horses many a time run faster numbers because they're outclassing the field and don't get the pressure in the competition. But once you get the pressure, can the horse handle the pressure? Can the horse handle a biased track? Can the horse get prepared by a trainer who knows what he's doing, or will the pressure of the moment get to the trainer and in turn get to the horse? So you have to look at a little bit of everything and hope that you can make the right selection.
What's an example of, I could see the pressure getting to the horse out there on the track. How does it get to how does pressure getting to the trainer affect the race?
Sometimes when you're looking at horses, you think, oh, they're going to win easily. But the trainer has to realize what's going on. Look at Smarty Jones in the Belmont Stakes. He was everybody's favorite. 120,000 people showed up at Belmont that day. The mistake John Service made is he underestimated what was going to happen that day. Because I even asked him the question, are you worried that the field is going to gang up on you? They're going to force you to do something that you're not comfortable doing, or the horse is not comfortable doing.
They kept coming wave after him. It was nuts.
And they made him take the lead earlier than usual. And then once that happened, they put pressure on him. Yes, the horse ran a winning race, but he could only take so much. And Birdstone came off the pace and ran him down. I mean, look, he's nominated to the Hall of Fame this week. Some people think he deserves to be there, some people not. But the thing is, he was a great horse. Unfortunately, the conditions, I think between Stuart Elliott and Service, they underestimated what was going to happen that day. And that's the thing. You have to be prepared to make the adjustment when needed. But if you don't expect it, it's more difficult to do the right thing then.
Okay, yeah. What do you think? Do you think he's going to get in the Hall of Fame? I think he gets in. I mean, he only lost one race, and what, by a hair or a length or something, and he got caught. You think he goes in?
I don't think so. I mean,
no, not enough races.
That's one of the problems. They have held that against these horses, that they haven't had long careers. You have Rags to Riches, who didn't have a long career, who's a finalist. I mean, when Flightline comes in about 3 years for his eligibility, it'll be very curious to see what they do with him, because some people call him the greatest horse of all time. But all people who say, well, he didn't have a long career, and they hold it against others, will they feel the same way about Flightline? That's going to be a very interesting question that's going to be answered at that time.
And when is Flightline being voted on this time around too?
You have to be retired for 5 years as a horse.
Oh, okay. So he's not there yet.
Yeah, he's not
all right.
5 years for a horse. A jockey has to be licensed for 20 years. And a trainer has to be trained for 25 years. And so we got some great nominees, and we got some interesting nominees. I mean, in the most ironic thing, here's HISA and horse racing talking about whip regulations and everything else, and the only jockey who gets nominated is Georgie Chavez, who's known as Chop Chop because of his whipping.
That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And wow, a lot goes into even that. I didn't realize he had to, some of these things that, they take it, hold it against you, the length of your career, and they got to wait the 5 years. Okay, in this race, let's get going on this. We're going to go horse by horse. And we'll begin with number 1 1/16 G2 Rebel, $1.25 million race, big race, huge field. We'll start with number 1, Coal Battle at 10-1, winner of 3 straight. What do you think about Coal Battle?
This is one of the stories people love, because it's a small-time trainer who nationally nobody ever heard of before, Lonnie Briley.
I had to look twice at that name for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah. And he was a Gateway winner at the Smarty Jones, one of 2 Smarty Joneses being in America. Parks has the other Smarty Jones, and both of them are not graded. But this is a horse who did a different dimension last time out. He took advantage of what the race offered him, and Vargas did a great job getting the victory that day. Now he's tested for class, first time in the graded stakes. It's going to be asking a lot, because you have to wonder, is he going to go to lead like he did last time? Or is he going to take off? I think he's going to take off the pace. It'll be very curious to see how the rail plays, considering the conditions of local on park. I mean, nobody knows because we haven't run on it yet. Would I love to see this horse do well? Of course. I mean, this is the type of horse everybody roots for because you want to see the small people get their opportunity, whether it's Briley or Vargas or whatever. I think he's in the money possibility. I don't know if he's going to win. I'm going to be rooting for him to win because I would love to see it because these little guys deserve the opportunity. I just don't know if he's good enough, but believe me, I'll put a little money on him and be rooting for him just in case.
Okay, so you got him in there and you got him in the exotics as well. I'll take it. Correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so number one at 10-1. And here's another one. We got Florent Giroux riding Admiral Dennis for the tremendous high percentage trainer Brad Cox. Opening at 12-1, Admiral Dennis. And it's my take on Cold Battle. One thing I did find interesting about that, he is by the Thorograph numbers, not by the Brisnet. He is in the Thorograph takes into account ground loss, etc., track conditions, wind. His numbers, his Thorograph numbers have gotten better and better every single race. And last race was actually his best one yet. You don't see it because it was by the traditional PPs, Brisnet buyers, because he was stuck running 2-3 wide all the way around the track. But that actually, he registered a 6 here, which is actually his best number to date. I still don't think it's quick enough, but you know what? If he does take another step forward, according to the graph pattern here, I could see him underneath. I like him better third or below. I like him maybe for supers or late try. I don't see him 1-2. But if he steps up again, I think he's a definite contender for the win spot.
Well, there is one other thing about that horse we have to consider. He is undefeated on dirt.
That's right. He started off 3 straight. And one race was on. Yeah, he won on a sloppy sealed track at Evangeline Downs.
Yeah, and then he had 2 turf races, lost. Then he went back on dirt, and like I said, he hasn't been beaten on dirt yet. So you had to give him respect for that.
The one thing that jumped out at me too here, maybe you have, why did Corey Laneri ride him the one time at Keeneland? And Vargas has been up on him his entire history, every other race. Any reason why Laneri was up that race?
Well, Vargas normally doesn't ride Keeneland. Corey, who I call Calvin Burrell Jr., because he loves around like Calvin Burrell does. He's ridden at Keeneland and everything else, and the trainer probably wanted to give him a shot, to see how good instead of shipping in the guy like Vargas into Kentucky, just go to the local jockey and see what happens. It didn't work out, so now Vargas regained the mount. He rode him at Delta. He rode him at Remington Park. And sometimes that's the thing, what I've talked about. The little guy deserves the opportunity. If Vargas had a bigger name, maybe he would rid him at Keeneland that day, even for the allowance race. But because he's not the big name, they're not going to pay for him to ship over there or whatever. But now when they see that the horse is probably comfortable with Vargas, they're going to give him the opportunity, and he's going to stick with the horse no matter what.
Okay. And one last thing before we move back to Admiral Dennis here that jumped out at me. At the mile at Remington, he did defeat one of the speed bulls in here who's going to get a lot of attention, Speed King, breaking from the outside. He did come off the pace, and you mentioned that does he go to the front or does he lay off? He looks like Cold Battle can be a push-button horse, either go early or come on late like he did there in defeating Speed King. So makes him kind of interesting here, and it gets a little extra distance to make up that ground if he had a good, excellent closing kick that day. He was over 5 back at the second call. He was in second by over a length at this entering the stretch, and then he went on to win by a half over Speed King.
And that's where comfort comes in, because the jockey knows the horse. He knows what the horse is capable of. So he had the confidence that when the race set up the way it did, that he can go to the front. Look, he wired the field, but look at the fractions.
Yeah,
Not
they were slow.
fast fractions. So he just took advantage of what was given to him. And thing is, if you have a jockey who doesn't know the horse, who's never been on the horse before, maybe he doesn't win that race because he stays far back instead of making adjustments like Vargas did that day. And that's why sometimes it's better to go with who you're comfortable with, even if he's not a big name, because that might be a better advantage for a horse like this.
Okay. And number 2, Admiral Dennis gets Brad Cox, Florent Giroux. What do you think about Admiral Dennis?
Well, he did try stakes.
Open 12-1.
Yeah, in the gun runner. Unfortunately, he tied finishing 4th that day at the fairgrounds. Comes back in an optional claimer. Won by 3/4 of a length. Did run with Lasix that day. Of course, no Lasix in this race here. He's a Brad, great trainer, has won a lot of races with Giroux and everything else. I just don't know if he's good enough here. In this case, I'm going to take a pass.
Yeah. He just, by the numbers, both Brisnet and Thurgraph, he just looks too slow. They'd have to pull a rabbit out of the hat to get on. I don't like it at all to underneath or to win. Pass here as well. Okay, now we'll go on to number 3. Here's the one everyone's been talking about. Taking a lot of money in the future pool for Sandman. He seems to be the sexy horse. I don't know. Mark Cassie and Christian Torres. Well, what do you think about Sandman opening at 4-1? $1.2 million colt out of Tappet.
He's the one everyone's talking about. I mean, you saw what happened in the Southwest. He didn't exactly have the greatest of starts. Was further back early, but he came with a great run, finishing 2nd by length. You talked to many handicappers, they thought he was the best horse in the race that day. And with a better start and longer distance, even though it is the same distance, that this is a horse who could be a serious Derby contender. But obviously, what happened at the start is a problem. You hope that this isn't something that's going to happen all the time. Torres has been on him twice, and look at the comments on both starts.
Speared out, broke in.
Yeah, and then last time out, he broke in the tangle. So this experience in these type of races, you have to wonder, could this be something that's going to affect Torres as time goes on? Or is he learning from this? He's going to make the adjustments from it. I mean, Cassie is a Hall of Fame trainer. He knows what he's doing. He's been around forever. He's won all the big races in Canada and North America and even in Europe with Tepin. So he knows what he's doing. You have to wonder about Torres. Being on the inside, he's probably going to save ground early. But hopefully he doesn't break in the tangle, because in a big field like this, it's tough to get by all those horses. Do I think he has the talent to win? Yes, he does. Could the horse improve and win the race? Yes, he can. He's not my top choice, but I am thinking that he has a very good shot to win. I'll probably make him my 2nd or 3rd choice, more likely my 3rd choice in the race. But he could win. But I think this is the race where if Christian Torres, if you want to win the Kentucky Derby, you better break well, or you're not going to be able to get the opportunity to ride him in the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, you mentioned Christian Torres, and one thing before I give you what I think about him. Christian Torres, say he rides him well this race and he gets whatever points he needs to qualify for the Derby, even though he's been, he gets it done, right? And he's going to be in the Derby. Do you think at that point Cassie's going to say, listen, I love you for all you've done, but this is where we part ways as far as this horse goes, and he finds like a bigger name to ride him for the Derby?
Cassie's won many grade ones. He knows what it takes to win big races. And you would think that the brain will do the right thing at the end if he feels that's the case, because you want to win. You only get one shot at the Kentucky Derby. So you don't want to make a mistake. Some people go for the big name, the sexy name. That's not always the case. You want to see these guys do well, but at the same time, these smaller guys have to be able to go out there and get the job done. Look at Jamie Torres with Caesar Gray in the Preakness. He was less than a year away after losing his bug, and he won the Preakness because he showed Lucas he could handle the situation. And that's what you want. You want these jockeys to show the trainer the moment's not too big for me, that I can get the job done. Christian Torres isn't a big name on a national basis, but he could become one if he does the right thing here. Because all is going to be shown on him because what happened last time out.
Okay. Yeah, my take on this one, I don't like his post per se, being inside. He has a closing running style. He keeps getting better by the sheets numbers. He did put up a 4 last race, which was a nice jump forward, puts him right in the mix. I think with the speed here and some of the others in here I like him for no better than third. No better. I see him as third or so. I just believe there are better in here. And so I'm not going to beat it to death. Tremendous horse. It wouldn't shock me if he win, but I can't bet them all. So I like for third and below. Now we're moving on to number 4. Hypnus, making his second start for McPeak. Ungraded, has not run in any stakes races. Won it at today's distance on a sloppy track at Fairgrounds. And this one does open at it's Brian Hernandez from McPeak, who had a big Derby and Oaks last year. Geez, won them both. Hypnus opens 10-1. Second start.
McPeak has had a tremendous run in the past year, winning the Oaks, winning the Derby. I mean, look, McPeak is not afraid to take shots. Look what he did with Swiss Skydiver, winning the Preakness against the boys, using Robbie Alvarado, who was on the downside of his career and wasn't riding that much.
Holy smokes.
And he still went and got the job done. McPeak's not scared. He's going to go out there, do the unusual thing, but sometimes that's the right thing to do, and you have to respect him for it. This horse, look, nice horse, has a great future ahead of him, into mischief, but I just don't know if I trust him in this spot. Look, McPeak running with Mile 16 first time out at the Fairgrounds, it tells you what he thinks of the horse. He thinks that this horse could get it, which is why he was rushing him to get him ready for a spot like this, ships him up. And he has one advantage over these other guys. The horse is based at the Fairgrounds. So he hasn't had the interruption of training like some of the Oakland horses have right now.
Okay.
But in the end, I don't think I could bet him. I wish he had more experience, but the horse, pay attention to, because I think with improvement, he could be a player down the road.
Okay. Are you going to use him at all?
I'm probably not going to use him at all because, like I said, it's just asking much second career start.
Okay. Actually, I am going to use this one in the win spot as one of them. I like his Brisnet number. I like. He has a little bit of ground. What I like about this one here is he's making his second start. And if you look at most horses, from the first start to the second start, the good ones usually improve somewhat in their second career race. They're Beyer, Brisnet, whatever, Thurgraf number, they usually jump forward. Vast majority of the good horses, the ones with some kind of talent. And even the ones that aren't that talented usually improve once they have a time over a track. And this one, right off the get-go, okay, by the Brisnet, did run a 92, and that's a faster Brisnet than, for example, Sandman has ever run. His best top was 91, but it gets a little more interesting here by looking at the sheets. He put up a 5 in his lone race. And to say how quick 5 is, and if you go back to a horse, for example, in his first career race, 5 is a tremendous Thurgraf number for the race, and it's he did run a little bit wide, won by over 2. If you put that in perspective, 5 for a first race. If you look back at Sandman, the opening favorite, He ran a 4 last race. And if this one just improves a bit, he gets to Sandman's 4 and even possibly even below 3 or 2, which puts him in a prime spot. But you look at Sandman, if even you look at his numbers, if you're going back to last October, by the numbers, he went 8, 7, 4. Oh, in routes, 11, 8, 7, 4. Yeah, he's improving, but it took him a few times to get down to the 4 that he did this time. You know, if you go back to his first 2 career races, he was 15-10. This one's starting off at a 5. So if the numbers, I'm a big, statistics and pattern and speed player, by the speed figures, this one lines up to at least get a spot. Yeah, the only downside, I guess, we saw him on a sloppy track in his only race. So we got to see what happens there. In the last race, he split foes at one point. We know that takes a lot out of a horse when they get stuck running between whatever. And he still was able to go on and win by over 2. I think this one has a shot to improve. And even if he stays where he is now at the last race and doesn't improve, I see this one to be part of the exotics and still maybe even fast enough to win. So that's my take on him, John. Anything else about him there?
Well, like I said, the experience is a huge factor here. One start, you don't know if he can handle passing. Who knows how many other horses he goes. He has 12 other opponents he's going to have to face, in this race. In last race, yes, it was a field of 9, and he was a little bit further back than mid-pack, and he did close very well. But that was also the fairgrounds with the longest stretch, and it was an off-track. Who knows if those other horses like the off-track or not. Totally different conditions here, totally different track here. The horse is working out great, and I think he does have the ability. He is bred for it and everything else. Just isn't asking for too much too soon. McPeak likes taking those chances, and you got to respect him for it. But not every horse can handle it. If he does it, great. I'll be rooting for him. I like McPeak, great guy. I like Brian Hernandez Jr. You just have to wonder, is the horse ready for it? He's got the potential to be ready for it, but on Sunday, will he be ready for it?
Now, if you see that one sitting, he opens 10-1. If you see that one as they're clicking down to post time or whatever, he's hovering on the board around 5-1 or whatever, and you see he's taking money, would that, not just you, but a lot of people look at the board. Would you have second thoughts about him if you see him around 5-1 and it's getting closer to post time?
Not at all.
No, don't let the odds bug you or swing you
with the money. Affect how I see it, because when I have an opinion and I think the horse, look, the lack of experience is not going to be thrown away because somebody bet money on the horse. And if I think the horse has problems and he may not be ready to win the race because of lack of experience, just because somebody bet $10,000 on the horse doesn't mean that horse is going to be able to do it, because that could be an informed opinion. That could be an uninformed opinion. That could be somebody like the owner might be doing it himself to support himself. Who knows? So why should I let money affect my opinion when I fear that this horse needs more?
There you go. Heard it here first. What about number 5? Number 5, Bob Baffert, first appearance in Kentucky. Well, possibly in Kentucky. He'll be there in 4 years. And he sends out Maddocket Road 9-2. Irod Ortiz Jr. up for Bob Baffert. What do you think about Maddocket Road, John?
Bob Baffert will be at the Kentucky Derby. He's got so many 3-year-olds. But that's the thing. It's an embarrassment of riches when it comes to Bob Baffert. You look at those California 3-year-old races. I mean, most of the field is Bob Baffert. I mean, it's crazy. So you had to send them out to other tracks. Now, Baffert has a very interesting record when it comes to shipping to Oaklawn Park. For example, in the past 5 years, he's 2 for 4 in the Rebel. He won with Concert Tour, and he also won with Nadal. Not his big horses, but he got the job done. He's prepping them for the Kentucky Derby. And then when you look at Baffert shipping to Oaklawn overall, I mean, he is 9 for 18 in graded stakes at
Holy
Oaklawn Park,
smokes.
and he's 13 for 18 in the money. So he usually means business when he ships to Oaklawn. But again, when you got talent like he does, I mean, come on, people, you have to respect it. And a guy like him, when he sends a horse out here, what's he gonna do? Go up against Citizen Bull and get his head handed to him? No. And
Mhm.
or whether it's Baeza, or like he's got so many horses, he has to separate them. So he does a good job knowing what wins at Oaklawn Park. So you have to respect a horse like this. The only thing that you have to wonder about with this horse, with Manicat Road, is the horse good enough? Because he did run in the Robert Lewis. He did chase Citizen Bull. He was beaten 6 lengths that day with Frankie Dettori. Now he got Irad Ortiz. Now, that was his first start going 2 turns in the Robert Lewis. So now he's stretching out. He's got the 2-turn experience under his belt. But is the horse ready to take the next step up? He's been working well. And I'd be very curious to see what Irad does with this horse, where he keeps him early. Because he looks to be a stalker. How far back off the pace will he be? That's going to be an interesting question with Irad getting on the horse for the first time, literally, because I don't think Irad went out to California to work out the horse at all. So the first time on the horse, and you just had to wonder, could that be a positive or could that be a negative? Like Manicat Road, look, he's got the talent. I just don't know at the price he's going to get out, because believe me, a lot of people are going to be betting Bob Baffert because of what he's done in the past. I don't know if I would bet him because he's probably going to be an underlay. He could definitely finish in the money, but sometimes you have to take a stand. And in this case, I'm taking the stand of putting him in the money because I think the horse has the talent, could be good enough, but I don't know if he's ready to win against these. Because also, how many horses were in his last start?
What was it, 5 or 6? I don't know, but he had 3 in there.
Yeah, 5. So he's had 3 career starts, 5, 7, and 5. So the last 2 starts don't even add up to the amount of horses he's in today's race, in the Rebel. So it's a huge jump for him. And you have to wonder how he's going to handle that situation.
Okay, so how high would you make him, as high as second or third and below, second and below, or
I will probably make him go 3rd or below.
third and below? Okay. I do want to say there was one thing about Manicat Road. Okay, he ran at that Lewis Stakes, and you mentioned that he had 3 horses in that race. Wasn't the race before that? I think it was the 3rd race. There were 4 horses, and he had 3 of the entries, and he actually lost that race.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, he really loads up in these races. But
Well,
in Bob's defense, the horse that won was the best horse in that race.
yeah. When you get the talent, this is what happens. Look, in the Lewis, he ran 1, 2, 3 that day. The other 2 were Wesley Ward and Jesus Mendoza in the race. Like I said, Bob has to split them up because you want to get as many. Believe me, if anybody wants to be in the Derby, it's Bob Baffert. He wants to send many up in the Kentucky Derby. So you have to split them up. And that's why he sends horses like Manicat Road to Oaklawn Park. And he's going to be sending other horses to other tracks to get the points. Because he's going to want to have 3, 4, 5 horses in Derby this year.
You got Rodriguez is probably going to end up qualifying, and in Barnes, of course, and Citizen Bull, this one. And yeah, he's stacked. Could you imagine what kind of outcry we get if we get a Bob Baffert trifecta in the Kentucky Derby?
He's done with other races. So why?
Okay, now we go on. Okay, my take on him, and I'll make this quick. I love that it's Baffert. I love that he's opening at 9-2. But what I also love is I see this one as a toss. Others he just looks too slow by the numbers, and the Thorograph, especially his best race is a 7. There are a multitude of horses in this race that have been quicker so far. Unless this one takes a big jump forward by the numbers, he's probably not even going to hit the board. I have him as a pass this race, and He could, who knows? It's Bob, and Bob's. You were talking about Bob over at Oaklawn, and I'm looking at the numbers here that I have. His last 88 races starts at Oaklawn. He's winning at a 40% clip, 40% of those races, 40 for 88, and he's in the money 68% of the time. Is this the time that he doesn't, the 32% that he misses the money? I don't know. I'm probably not, but anyway, I see others. I pass. I'm not even using them underneath. But his ROI in those 88 races, 2.07, but the number's too slow. We were talking about the 4-horse and Sandman and having lower numbers, 4s and 5s. And this one's the quickest. He's run 3 times. He's never broken a 7. So I see him as a pass for me. And you have him 3rd and below.
Yeah.
Okay, now we go down to publisher. Okay, Steve Asmussen. Flavian Pratt wins the Eclipse Award with all those stakes victories last year. What do you think about publisher?
This is an interesting horse because you look at what happened last time out, it was ugly. I mean,
yeah, it's horrible.
It was ugly. Now, the jockey that day, Eric Asmussen, Steve's son. So now Steve sees what happens. I mean, it's what I talked about before. You have to prove that you belong in that spot. Eric, no. Not in this spot, not in greatest stakes. He won a lot of races, and he's done very well. He won the Eclipse Award, but that doesn't mean you're ready for these greatest stake races. We saw that last time out. It's not all his fault, but in a situation like this, sometimes you make the change. So what do? You replace one Eclipse Award winner with another Eclipse Award winner.
There you go. What a change.
And they say, who's better than Flavian Pratt right now? So you can get him, you got to do it. Now, could this horse improve off that? He needs to, because he's got, a lot of improving to. Because remember one other thing about this horse, he's still a maiden.
Hey, yeah, I was just looking at that. 0 for 5.
Won the race yet, so he still has to cross the finish line first. Now, for Pratt to take a horse like this, he obviously sees something in the horse and he believes in the horse. But to me, I can't take an 0 for 5 maiden, especially after a trip like that, to come and win the Rebel. So to me, even though you got Pratt and you got so many positives going on in this field of 13, I can't do it.
Yeah. I don't like him either. His numbers, he did run a nice race in the slop 2 back at Oaklawn. Here on this track, I guess. And last race he did, they say he bobbled at the break, but it probably wouldn't have made a difference. I don't see in the running style compared to the others in here, the pressing type. He's not really fast early. He's not great late. I can't deal with this. I'll pass on this one. You're a complete pass on him too?
Yeah, I'm going to pass on him.
Pass, okay.
Him being a maiden that means he has to put it all together to learn how to win yet. It's asking a lot to go up against some probable grade 1 horses and win first time out if you haven't won yourself.
Okay. Now this one, the next one up is Scratch, correct? Number 7, Dreamin' Blue.
He's running. No.
Oh, Bullard. Wait, he is running? Oh, yeah. Which one is scratched?
Bullard.
Okay. Okay, what number is that one?
The 10.
10, okay. Okay, now this one, interesting horse, Dreamin' Blue. This one opens at 15-1, pops at 96 Brisnet last time for Randy Morse, 19% at the track here at the meet. Francisco Arrieta up. What do you think of Dreamin' Blue at 15-1, number 7?
I'm probably going against it. I mean, yes, he broke his maiden by 3.5 lengths as the favorite, but that was with the addition of Lasix and sprinting. Now he's going back to 2 turns. He tried 2 turns, 3 starts back, finished 4th that day. Really didn't do much. I mean, to me, nice horse. I'll be very curious to see what he does down the road, but You see, when he came back to sprinting, that's when he was running his best races. He might be more of a sprinter, middle distance horse. So I'm going to go against.
Yeah, that's what I have too. There does have some nice, excellent thoroughgraph numbers. He fits the race with his sprint numbers are tremendous, but he very slow. The one time they asked him to go longer, for example, sprinting, he's run numbers lower the number the faster the race, 9, 4, and then a 5 in his last race. The 4 and the 5 put him right in the mix here. But when he did ask him to go longer, he ran a 13, which did get him fourth, but it's a huge. He just didn't handle it, and they're asking him again to go long again. I don't like him either in this race, so he's a pass for me. So we got a couple of passes there. Now we move on to number 8. Nice horse, probably has a good sprinting career, but even then he's going to have to improve a little bit to be a true sprinting champion. But this one, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this one, John. Innovator, the Wayne Lucas entry here. Comes out of an impressive race on January 18th, where he looked like he might steal the damn thing at a price. But what do you think of Innovator, John? He opens up at a 15-1 with Tyler Bacon up for D-Wayne.
Well, one thing about Lucas, when he likes you, he'll give you the opportunity. And Tyler Bacon is a 5-pound bug. Normally, you don't see 5-pound bugs in these type of races because they don't have the experience. He's done very well at the meet so far. Give him all the credit in the world. But this is the graded stakes. Am I going to trust Tyler Bacon in this spot, especially with a horse like this, to get the job done? No, I can't, because he's going to be. I don't know if Tyler Bacon's ever run in a 13-horse field before. So you just have to wonder how he's going to. And this is a speed horse. I mean, yes, he did set the pace and finished a good third in the LeCompte, but he did tire. And matter of fact, that was a 13-horse field that day. He drew the rail and did what
the rail was perfect for him.
But I just don't see him holding on, versus these. I mean, he broke his maiden 2 starts back. It took him 7 starts. Horse has been in the money a lot. Just, I don't think he's good enough with his running style and with his talent to be able to bet here. So I'm going to pass it.
Okay, so you got to pass there. Jeez, I am so tempted. Now, I don't like him to win. He is on the track. He's finished first, second his 2 tries here at Oaklawn. Granted, they were sprinting. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe third and below. I think he's going to go at it with Speed King, the 11, and it might be the demise of both of those two. So I'm tempted. I don't have room for him. I guess a 4th and below. I'm not even playing a super, so I got to say pass. Yeah. Hey, there's a better speed in here, so I can't go any better than that. Number 9, Smokin' Wicked. Tyler Gaffalione and Dallas Stewart opens at 8-1. Sprinting specialist here, but has run around 1. What do you think of Smokin' Wicked, number 9?
Now, to me, this is a very intriguing horse because he is trying 2 turns for the first time. He did try Route 1 at Aqueduct, because we know Aqueduct 1 mile is a 1-turn mile. He ran 4th in Champaign. This is a horse who has won 2 in a row, but that was against state breds at the fairgrounds. This is much better. But this is a horse trained by Dallas Stewart, who I have tremendous respect for. Dallas comes from the Lucas tree of trainers, learned under him. And one thing about Dallas, if there is anybody who knows how to get a horse ready for a race at a price, it's Dallas Stewart. I mean, he's may not have won but he's had horses at 30, 40 to 1 run second in the Derby, finish in the money, get a check at a huge price. And he was able to get Tyler Gaffalione to get on this horse. He's working very well. And yes, Tyler did ride this horse once, finished third on him in the Saratoga Special, and, he knows the horse a little bit at least. So for him to come back to think that he can get the distance, you have to give him a lot of respect for it. Dallas, I have a lot of respect for. The breeding, who knows? It's Louisiana bred. Against these type of horses, you don't know. But I trust Dallas because Dallas is willing to take shots, and they usually calculate shots that he gets them ready to run the best race possible. So to me, I'm going to use him on top. I'm going to make him my top choice.
Well, it sounds like we have something in common, John, because on that horse, that's if I had to pick just one, I have him as the winner of this race. I'm not really overly concerned about the one time that he ran in the G1 and the Champagne Stakes, but he has run it in graded stakes before. But what really jumps out at me are the Sheets numbers again. I mean, they're ridiculously low. And they keep getting better. They keep getting better. We were talking about the favorite, having a big number, the sand horse from Cassie. This one has run last 3 races, a 4, a 3, and a 1. And we're talking open length speed-wise better than any other horse in this field. And he's opening 8 to 1. This is a horse that if he runs as fast as he has the last couple, albeit they're in sprints, he can regress a few points and still be fast enough to win this race. I hope we get 8 to 1. I don't think we will. I don't know what else I can add about that. Dallas Stewart and Gaffalione, they have a history together. They win 18% going back 116 races. And Dallas, you talked about, learning about him, how, his history about gearing him up, getting him prepared, especially for these types of magnitude of these races, big stakes races, graded stakes. By the number, I can't move past this horse. I see him as my winner.
Well, this horse is 2 Derby points, which is an advantage because when a lot of people are tied up at the end, those couple of extra points to put you ahead of others will help. Smoking Wicket, first time 2 turns, he's got good tactical speed. Now, what he does going 2 turns, whether he goes out to the front or keeps stalking, remains to be seen. We don't know until he does it. No, but to me, this is the type of horse where he's worth the risk because he might be 8 to 1 morning line. Unless the sheep people go out in mass to bet him, he's going to be double digits.
Wow.
If he gets the support from the sheep people, though, you'll see it early, and he will get bet down. But I'm expecting double digits on this horse at post time.
Okay, and yeah, because there's going to be a huge handle on this race too, the magnitude. So the big bettor is not going to really be able to knock the odds down as much as they would in another race. So yeah, okay, yeah, I think he looks tremendous, and he does run a pretty good early. I'm just looking at his pace scenarios. I mean, he has gone to the front, but he has won from off the pace.
But 2 turns.
I mean, his numbers are fast enough that he's not going to be a mile behind early either. I mean, he'll be in the mix. It's not like he's going to be in a position to make up a ton of ground,
Mm-hmm. But with 2 turns, you don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know how fast he's going to be at 2 turns.
May want to go to lead going 2 turns because they're that relaxed and they feel that strong. Others may be able to relax. When you're trying something for the first time, you just don't know.
I don't see how they could send him to the lead with Innovator and Speed Duel. I think that would be suicide in this race. But
that's to the horse. That's the thing. Sometimes you can't control what they're thinking, what they want to do.
Dallas Stewart. All right, now you mentioned the 10 is the one that's scratched, correct?
Yeah, Bullard is scratch. He has the fever.
That's another one. It would have been a sprinter for McCarthy and Umberto Rispoli up. All right. Would you have considered this real quick? Would you have considered this one if he was in? He would have opened at 5-1's way too low. Jeez. What do you think?
Probably not. I mean, he got beat by two Bafferts and Barnes and Romanesque.
Yeah.
Timeout. He would have been stretching out. He did win his previous two starts. He did have the right running style, and he's bred for it. And McCarthy is a type of trainer that you have to respect going down the road. But he would have been the type of horse that you have to wonder if the horse has been good enough stretching out versus these at this point of his career. Do I think he's going to be a nice horse down the road? Yeah. But for this race, at this point of his career, would I have used them? Probably not.
Okay. And number 11, another intriguing. We got the speed of the speeds here. Speed King, 3 races. And he was beaten by Coal Battle 2 back at Remington by looks like a half a length here. And but he did beat Sandman, the opening chalk, in the last race. And at this track, what do you make of Speed King? Ron Moquette and Rafael Bejarano.
Well, this is what I talked about earlier about running and learning and showing improvement. Because he ran in Springboard Mile, second career start. That was his first start going 2 turns. The horse set the pace for a time to second, got beat by Coal Battle. He comes back in the Southwest, stretches out, again going 2 turns, wires the field. And to me, he is the speed of the speed. Having 2 2-turn races under his belt, I think is a huge advantage. Bejarano's been on him both times. Bejarano knows what to do with this horse. I mean, he could wire this field again. He might be that good because having that foundation of running 2 turns already twice is a huge advantage and might be there at the end. Do I think he's going to win by 8 lengths? No. But he might be good enough to hold on for the victory versus these. I'm going to make him my second choice. I think he definitely can get the job done. I just have to see what happens, how he looks on the racetrack. And also with this racetrack, we don't know what the training's going to be like. We don't know what the track's going to play like. It could be heavy. It could be speed favoring. We don't know. And that's the big mystery here.
So we're going to have to keep an eye on those earlier races and see what the heck is going on the track. Definitely. As far as the track bias, if there is one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here, what I think about the Speed King here, if it wasn't for Innovator, I might be putting him on top. I prefer the 9. I even prefer the 4 over him. And I may use lightly on top, lighter than the others. Other than that, second and below. I'll for argument, so I'll just list him second and below. One thing I do like about him, one thing I don't like about him, we're going to go back by the Brisnet number. He's fine. He's moving forward in each race, and he has the big early speed, the speed of the speed. Speed King. He fits his name like a glove. I mean, he was leading in the stretch every single race. He was at every single call and in all 3 of his races, and he just missed winning all 3 by getting beat by Coal Battle. One thing I don't like about him, which kind of surprised me, well, he's moving forward. He did run. He's not the fastest by the sheet numbers. He's not the fastest. 8, 8, 6. So there are multiple horses in this race that have run faster numbers by the sheet, as where the sheet comes into play. So I wouldn't worry about that if it wasn't for the other big speed inside of him, Innovator. That's why I really don't like him on top. I wouldn't have been swayed by the slower sheet numbers because this horse saves a ton of ground and he might just steal it, even though others have the faster numbers. So, but in this case, because of the pace, second below for Speed King. I think he's going to make it a hell of a race between him and the other speeds. Number 12. Okay, do we even talk about this one? Brereton's Baytown. This one opens 50-1. Has 2 wins out of the last 3. Paul McEntee and Joseph Bielmir. What do you think about that?
One, McEntee, he's not afraid to ship. He's not afraid to take shots. He's got his regular jockeys, whether it's Bill Muir or Marshall Mendez, but the horse beat a 40 claimer last time out at Laurel.
Why is this horse even in here? This is a big pass for me. I can't believe this. That he's
sometimes you take shots and you hope to get lucky, and McEntee doesn't mind taking shots. I was trying to get him to run this horse at our stakes at Parks on the 4th, and thinking that this might be the type of horse who may want to take a shot for a $75,000 purse, not $1.25 million. It's a big difference here. So
is he just a horse to fill the field? Why is he in here and not some of the others? I don't get this.
Well, we're not sure if he's even going to be in the race.
Okay, so he might scratch out.
He's entered at Turfway Park on Saturday night in the state.
So he'll probably run there then, I would think.
So he is Turfway. And to me, why spend the money to ship to Oaklawn to get your head handed to him when you could stay at home and get your head handed to you?
See it? John's right on it. He knows all about these horses. He's entered somewhere else, and we're hearing it all here from John. Thanks for the heads up on that, John. So a big pass there. And just before we go to the last two horses, which are interesting ones, especially the next one, I want to go back to Speed King for a second. Now, the jockey, Rafael Bejarano, one of the excellent jockeys, a big-time winner over the years, not quite gets the prestige that he used to. If Speed King advances and does make it into the Derby, do you think they're going to keep Rafael aboard for him along the way?
No doubt. No, they're not. They're not going to take Rafael Bejarano off.
Okay. He's ridden them all three. Okay, it's just
he's a borderline Hall of Fame. This is the type of horse where he sticks on this horse and wins the Kentucky Derby. It might elevate him to more of a good opportunity to be a Hall of Fame jockey down the road. He just needs a couple more champions, because some of these jockeys, that's all they need, a horse like this. Look at Victor Espinosa. He was able to become a Hall of Fame because what he did in the Kentucky Derby. Think about what has he done since then. Not that much. But for Bejarano, this could be the horse that he needs to elevate him into that level. And he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. A lot of jockeys him. He's been a former win champion at Oaklawn Park. He's won all over the country. So I got no worries with Speed King, and there's no reason to replace him at all.
Okay. Thanks for that. Wow. Okay, now we're going to go to, here we go, another 13 from Steve Asmussen here. Last week, we know what happened to Magnitude, what both the thrill and the agony all in one, missing the Derby after qualifying. But he's back with another 13. Tis-tastic. Steve Asmussen gets the other Ortiz brother, Jose Ortiz, aboard. Opens 8-1. Was defeated, finished third behind Speed King and Sandman here in the 20 on the Southwest. What do you think about Tis-tastic, John?
This is a very intriguing horse, because first off, you were able to get Jose Ortiz lead the fairgrounds where he's just dominating, to come up for the race.
He's unconscious over there at fairgrounds.
And the thing, you look at what this horse has done, he's a very intriguing horse because he ran third in the Southwest. He did have some traffic issues in that race. He was third in the Kentucky Jockey Club, where he did run pretty well, stalking the pace, finishing third that day. He ran in Street Sense, finishing second. All those races at the mile 16th. So he's got 3 mile 16th races under his belt, which is a huge advantage. And I think that's the type of horse where you have to pay attention, because when you get experience like that, you're just going to get better, and you have to give him the respect at that point. Now, the other thing, because of all those races, he has 14 points already for the Kentucky Derby, and that's huge. Now, even if he runs second today, that puts him at 39, which is borderline of qualifying for the Kentucky Derby already. Now, Steve Asmussen has never won the Kentucky Derby. You know, some people thought Magnitude would have been it after what happened. Unfortunately, he came out injured. But this is a tis the law out of the tapping mare, so distance should not be a problem. The horse is working out very well. You got Jose Ortiz, who's riding the best of his life, the way he's riding at the fairgrounds right now. Again, this is a horse who doesn't necessarily have to win, but he's in the right direction because in the end, with Asmussen especially, you want to win, of course, but is the goal to win the Kentucky Derby? And I think with Steve Asmussen, it is. I think this horse, you definitely have to use him in the money. He could be second, he could be third. I don't know if he's good enough to win. But again, I think Steve is going to have him cranked up enough, but not fully cranked up to win. Because I think he realizes to reach the goal, you have to work your way to it. And that's what he's doing with this horse right now. So I'll use him as a backup just in case. He won't be one of my top choices, but you definitely have to respect a lot today and down the road.
Okay. I see that, yeah, this one's moving in the right direction. It's on the improve. You talked about the experience here. I see him possibly getting in the money. I could see him third. Are you going to use him at all on top?
Oh, I have to use him a little bit because if I think this horse is improving,
okay,
and take that ultimate step up. I don't think it's going to be the ultimate step up because I don't think Steve is going to have it cranked up 100% for that ultimate step up. But if this horse has the ability and the talent, which I think he does, you have to respect.
I think he's opening a little bit low on the odds. He seems like an underlay at 8-1 by the numbers and by how I'm handicapping this race, the runnings. I think that he's a closer. I think he has a better opportunity than Sandman does from the inside, in that he could kind of take aim from the outside. He's not going to have to possibly go wide, breaking inside, coming for home or in the stretch. This one could kind of angle in. So he has that to his advantage. He's not as fair. But what gets me is he's actually beaten Sandman 2 times in his last 3 races. He's finished ahead of Sandman. The horse seems to smell the wire or smell the money. And what I also like is Jose Ortiz gets back on him. Who's ridden him 2 for 2, won both. They were both on turf, but Jose is going to be familiar with this horse. And he's undefeated on him.
On the ones. Irad was the other time.
Is it? They show 2 different. Then there's a typo here. Okay.
Yeah, Irad rode him at Kentucky Downs when he won the Juvenile Mile.
Okay. And Jose rode it?
Jose rode him in that restricted race going to 6.5 furlongs.
Okay, now I was looking at the name. They had the J and the L and the other. My mistake there. Okay, thanks for pointing that out, John. Okay, so he's 1 for 1 on him. I see him underneath. I see him third and below. By the numbers, he's light. We'll go to the Thorograph again. He's run 3 7s in a row, which are slower than a number of other horses in here. And
but there's a couple other things you have to consider too.
What's that?
He's never won on dirt.
He's never won on dirt.
He's never won on dirt. So that's something to consider.
Okay.
You know, and like I say, he's 2 for 2 on grass. But at the same time, like I talked about before, the way Asmussen is doing things, I think he's doing things a little differently. And he's getting this horse ready to peak the first Saturday in May. And he said having 14 points is a huge advantage right now. Because again, if he runs second, that's 25 points because it's a 50 points to the winner, 25 points for second. That puts him at 39. And usually you have to be in the 40s to be able to go into the Kentucky Derby at that point. And he might have 1 or 2 other races to get points that puts him into the Kentucky Derby. So like I said, with Asmussen, I don't think he's going to have him cranked up to win. But if the horse's natural ability, look, the horse is finished in the money in his last 3 starts on dirt. And I think he's the type of horse that he's getting better. And he could be the type of horse where if he gets a nice run to be second with Jose Ortiz back on, this could be Jose's horse for the Kentucky Derby. And I'll be very curious to see, because one thing I don't know is Jose could have gotten on this horse when this horse is based at Fairground before he shipped up to Oaklawn. But he might see he knows how to win on the horse, but winning on the grass, he might be on the horse afterwards. To me, this is the type of horse I definitely want to follow. He's the type of horse, if I able to make a future book bet on him, I would, because I think Asmus is doing the right thing with this horse to get him to peak. Even though he's never won the Kentucky Derby, he's making adjustments. Asmussen has won all those races because he does know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And I'm sure he's making those adjustments to finally get the monkey off his back and get that Kentucky Derby win.
I know everything you're saying makes sense here, John, and I believe this one is going to it pains me, and no offense to Steve Asmussen here on this, it pains me to think that this one's probably going to be in there, because I see it as an automatic toss. If it's in the Derby, I see others as fast. It's a beautiful storyline. Steve Asmussen, first horse to the Derby, first horse to win the Derby, and they'll give him a segment of the Derby show during the 2 hours leading up to the race where they talk about all the different stuff, but he just seems too slow. He seems like a boring horse. He's no Sierra Leone as far as closers goes, and the numbers, but he's like you said, he's set up perfectly. He'll pick up points in this race for the Derby. What did you say? He has 16 points right now?
14 points right now.
That's plenty, yeah. And he'll pick up whatever he picks up for probably third or below. Maybe he sneaks into second here, and then he'll run in one of the 100-point races and put him right over the top if he doesn't go over the top today. And we'll see him in the Derby. But I don't want to, as a fan, I don't want to see him in there as a storyline. I do like Steve Asmussen as a trainer, love him as a trainer. But I don't want, as a fan, I don't want to see this. I don't think this horse is part of the others, considering all the other big horses we're going to have that are going to eventually make the Derby too. I see this one as third and below here, but and the outside third and below for me, I'm not using him on top. He's going to have to improve.
Well, there's one other factor to consider too. Jockey change. Steve took his son off to put on Jose.
Yeah, that's a heck of a move. It shows that he's taking this serious. He's not horsing around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have to respect the guy who's willing to take his son off on a horse. Hey, would he love his son in the Kentucky Derby?
This ultimate dedication to winning, you got to respect that.
Yeah.
You're getting 100% from him. Okay, we go to the 14, number 14, another hot gunner. Opens at 51. Harry Hernandez up 9% at the Oaklawn meet. And Scott Young making his second start here at this meet, 0 for 1. And 16% overall, respectable, going back 404 races to the beginning of 2024. Do you give this 50-1 shot a chance to do anything?
No.
No. No, he's
Look,
I'm just seeing if he's any slower than the other one.
Look, this is the ultimate underdog story.
He's actually slower than number 12. Okay.
Okay. I mean, look, he Barrington Park. He ran in the Smarty Jones. He won last time out, and that was the lifetime allowance race. But he's a $1,200 yearling purchase by Exaggerator, who's a $5,000 stud. So when you're buying a horse for $1,200, he doesn't even meet the stud fee. That's a little worrisome in itself. I mean, the horse just doesn't look to be fast enough here, and I just don't see it. And Hernandez rode this horse once in the stake and did absolutely nothing. I mean, at that point, I said, get Floyd Whitty a shot. Why not? I mean,
yeah.
To get the job done. I mean, give Whitty a shot. He may make a shot in a race like this again, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, he did close very well in the last race, but yeah.
As at Sam Houston, which nobody could see anyway because of restrictions, because they're not HISA. So I just don't see it.
Okay, yeah, it's a pass for me too. So We're through all 14 of them here. And before we wrap it, let's take a look back now. Top 3 win contenders. If you had to pick 3, say you're playing a multi-race play, I know you're going to use one more than the other or whatever. In order, who do you think are your top 3 shots contenders to win the race? And I'll give you mine then. I think you said winner number 9. Is that who you like best? Or
Yeah, go Smoking Wicked. Dallas Stewart, I have tremendous respect for, to get this horse ready. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to get them ready. He comes from maybe the best line the training trees will ever see. And to me, this is the type of horse I think going 2 turns. He's got a lot of races under his belt, but now he's going to take the step up to 2 turns. I'm going to make him my top choice. Speed King is being the main speed of the race is going to be my second choice. Sandman, he showed a lot of ability. He's got a lot of buzz. Now it's time to put up or shut up. He's going to be my third choice. And then, if I'm going to give all disrespect to Steve Vesman and Tistastic, I had to make it my 4th choice because, again, this is the type of horse who could easily be second or third. But I think Steve's doing the right thing, and he's going to have him cranked up, ready to go. So I had to put him in the money someplace.
Okay. So John, 9, 11, 3, 13. I'm with you, John, on the 9. 9 is my top choice. Just the big sheet numbers and really massive sheet numbers, and also getting a price 8-1. And you said, John, I hope we get that double-digit price there on number 9. He's moving in the right direction. Winner of 3 straight. It just looks very strong there. And my second choice is the second time starter, number 4. We'll get its name up here. I think he's going to improve in his second out for McPeak. Hypnus. It's another price horse, another closer. And he's got a little room to maneuver inside at post position 4. He's not going to be exactly pinned on the rail, closes well. And I'm looking for some improvement second out. And I'll tell you what, if he moves forward, he's going to be tough to beat. And we know he can get the distance already. So I like number 4 second. Number 3rd choice is the early speed, who I'm not going to rule out. I'll use him also in a win spot. Maybe not as my main win, but number 11, Speed King. I see that one running big and at least hanging around. If he doesn't get second, if he doesn't win, I would be really shocked if he missed the freaking board 1, 2, or 3, didn't get second. I mean, second's the actual, yeah, I like him, third or below, but I'll use him lightly to win. He's my 3rd choice. And the 4th choice, I just can't. I think Sandman is going to sneak in there. The number of, I don't think he's going to win. I see him 3rd and below, and it's really a toss, John, between him, a coin flip between 3 and 13. But Sandman does have the big number, last out, and so I'm going to go with number 3, 9, 4, 11, and 3, and you're 11, 9, 11, 3, 13. So we actually have 3 horses that are the same here. The only difference is you have the Asmussen horse in, and I have the second time starter. You have the 13 in the mix, finishing 4th, and I have the second time starter finishing 2nd. So John, 9, 11, 3, 13, top 4 win contenders, and I'm 9, 4, 11, and 3. So I think that covers it. And I'm just wondering, one last thing just about a horse. Do you think we got to go back? It was a tough week for this horse, Steve Asmussen and all, with Magnitude. Do you think he would have been a big time Kentucky Derby win contender, considering the last horse that ran as fast as him buyer wise was Big Brown? I guess he ran a 109 and Magnitude ran a 108, and the 108 dwarfed all the others, including Citizen Bull and everybody else buyer wise. Do you think he would have been one of the favorites and had a big shot to win the Derby if he didn't get hurt?
Probably not. I mean, he ran a tremendous race last time. I mean, people were shocked at how big he ran that day.
Yeah.
and people were wondering, is this horse really that good? I mean, where did this come from? I mean, it was like shocking to everyone to see that happen. But there was also a mile and an eighth. Not every horse in February is ready to go a mile and an eighth. That's something that you have to consider, and with his running style, with the speed, you just have to wonder, if that was type of situation where he took advantage because others were afraid to go after him, thinking that he might tire because at the distance, especially at that time of year, you know, it would have been asking a lot. And you just have to wonder at the end if that's the type of horse who would have held on, especially with that running style, because we see other speeds in there who do very well. And I just don't know if I would have trusted him at that point to continue to win. I mean, he might have won the Louisiana Derby, but to be able to carry that over, because you know how difficult it is to win on the lead in the Kentucky Derby, so it would have been tough. And if you think about it, now that you got the Japanese coming in and you got the suicide rider, Christophe Lemaire, sending all the Japanese horses he rides to lead, going too fast.
Yeah.
He could wear out anybody at that point. So I probably no, couldn't do it. Now, talk about
No.
what you had mentioned, the horses that ran the fastest buyers, like 108 and higher.
Yeah.
Prior to Magnitude, you had Fierceness, who did the 110 in the Florida Derby. And then you had Materiality do the 110 in the Florida Derby in 2015. And then California Chrome did a 108 in the San Felipe. And you had Bodymeister in the Arkansas Derby do a 108 in 2012.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for the update on that. I had somebody who was quoting, and I guess I should have checked this out. He said that the 108 was the highest since Big Brown. That apparently I'll take, you. Thanks for the update on that. Okay. But yeah, I wouldn't have trusted. I don't think I would. I wouldn't have played him to win the Derby either. But he would have got attention. And there's one other thing. Since this race is worth the Rebel is worth 50 points to the winner, going forward, you talked about the prepping the horse for the race, getting the horse ready. Now, say the horse, whoever comes out of today's race grabs the 50 points, and they're going to qualify for the Derby with the 50 points. Do you bother running that horse again in one of the 100-point races, or do you sit back and wait? You don't need the points anymore. Are you still just to keep them loose? Are you going to run that horse again and say that one of the other horse races, like maybe the Florida Derby or the Wood Memorial, one of the other big races? Do you give the horse time off till the Derby, or is that too long, or what do you do? You win the 50 points today. What do you do?
No, you got to run them. You need to run. But here's the advantage. Let's say you have enough points to get into the Kentucky Derby. Now at the next start, if you want to experiment with a different running style, if you want to experiment with maybe trying to get a little bit more speed into him or whatever, that's the time you can do it. But if it doesn't work, you can always go back to what worked in the past. So let's say you have a horse who has been stalking the pace. I mean, let's say Dallas's horse, for example. Okay. Let's say he goes and wins today, and he's stalking the pace second or third, and he wins. If he comes back in the next start, he can now afford, if he wants to be a little bit further back, he could try that. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, go back to what worked in the past. It gives them the insurance policy of being able to experiment. You don't have to be desperate to get the points to get into the race. So this race is really going to give you that insurance policy, to help you out for the future to do something different. I mean, with your Big Peak horse, he needs experience. I mean, you're not going to the Kentucky Derby with 2 starts. You need that start under your belt. But with a horse like Dallas Stewart's horse, who has experience already, you could give him the two-turn experience, but you give him a chance. Remember, he only has one two-turn race, which would be the Rebel. So you have to give him that second start, and then you could try something else. Tastic, he's got 3 already. And he's got 4 after the Rebel Mile 16 races under his belt. And like I said, you're just gearing him up to get points and just getting ready to go, which is what Steve's trying to do right now. So depending on the horse, depending on situation, but you don't go and say, this is his final start before the Derby. You need to run the horse again.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. And I'll tell you what, and thinking about Steve and thinking about Magnitude and how he had Magnitude explode forward the last time. If he does that with this Tastic this race, who's to say he's not going to jump forward big like the other one does? Maybe he's saving him to uncork him and pop him loose in this race. So, yeah, I got to keep an extra eye on him too. I'm glad you pointed that stuff out to us here. And I want to thank you for joining us, John, for this. And before we close up, do you have any last words for the viewers out there going into this race?
Racing,
last thoughts anyway.
Yeah, racing's in a tough situation right now. You have so much crap that's going on, so much BS, so many negative things happening. But at the same time, there are a lot of positives. Let's work on the positives. Hopefully, we can work together. Hopefully, you can find ways to solve a lot of the problems that we have. A lot of it, the industry made itself. Some of it, other people on the outside created it. But in the end, we still have the possibility of doing something great. Let's hope we can make it happen. But we all need to respect each other. We all need to work together. We all need to get a little lucky, whether it's at the windows, whether it's negotiations, or whatever it is. But let's hope we can get some good news finally and get some good publicity, some good results. And let's, you just have to want the best, because right now, I mean, we're in trouble. And if we don't do something about it, we could lose it forever.
I'm really pumped up about this, and I have a good feeling about racing, and I think it's moving in the right direction. This looks like one hell of a Derby. The prep season and going towards the Derby, I'm really excited about it, the quality of the horses we have this year. And I want to thank everybody for watching us, and thank you again, John, so much for giving your insight and your information and selections on the races here. And hey, everybody, enjoy the race. Best of luck if you're playing and win big. And may the horse be with you.
Good luck, everyone.